there was a big idea from our first session in the series, it would probably be that God is already at work all around you, transforming lives. And if there's a big idea from the second session, it might be that God's inviting you and I to join him in that transforming work. Now we're in our third and final session, and the big idea for today is around what practical actions you can take to respond to all of this. We want to look at day-to-day activities that you can do that will set you up to engage in this work God's inviting us to. And I'm so glad we're talking about this because it'd be such a shame for us to just talk around ideas of reaching others without actually looking at how to do it. I am aware, though, that whenever we talk about practical steps to sharing our faith, that it can sometimes feel like formulaic or impersonal instead of relational and loving. So instead of seeing this all as like a formula, the practical actions we want to explore in this session are more like a way of living that can position us to step into the work God's doing around us. Before we get going, take a few minutes as a group to talk about this.
I was on staff at a large church and I loved what I did, but I had a crisis one day, a normal day like any other day, when I came home and my wife had just started inviting neighbors over to share a meal with us. She'd rolled the grill out, and as people were coming home, she just said, "Why don't you come over and we'll share a meal together?" And all of a sudden I realized all these people that surrounded me, I didn't even know their names. I was a professional Christian. My job was to help a church get to know the city and the neighborhood. And I didn't even know the people that surrounded my apartment complex. And as we got to know them at that meal, we started to share life with these people who were going through domestic violence things and dealing with addictions, and folks that had all kinds of problems when I was used to getting into my car to drive to do church ministry stuff when there were needs all around me. And in a sense, we became the pastors of that apartment complex. So when we went to move to Denver to plant a church, we decided we want to take the Great Commandment literally, not figuratively, literally, which meant we needed to know the names of the neighbors, of the people that surround us, to love them, to serve them, to pray for them. And well, that shaped what became our church. Everyone that came with us, we made a commitment to spend time in our front yards, to share meals with people in our homes, to hear their stories, to pray for them, to pray with them, and learn how to live life together. And in this, I think we took the Great Commandment literally, to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And your neighbor actually includes your literal neighbor. And so that small step opened us up to actually thinking about how cities might change. What if everybody took that seriously? What if everyone that says that they follow Jesus took that seriously? But what if everybody took that seriously? We might just see a ripple effect in every city that we're in. Instead of trying to do everything out there, what if we started right in here? The step to take is really simple. It requires walking the 20 or 30 feet and doing this really complicated maneuver, which is knocking on their door and then saying, "Hi, I live over here. I don't know your name. I've not had a chance to meet you." If you're new in a neighborhood, it goes better. But if you've been there a while, it can be even more awkward. And here's why. Because you probably knew their name at some point. Like you met them at one point and they've just become like cat lady, or hey, what's up, dude, bro, man. And you have these super shallow conversations that usually revolve around the local sports team or a restaurant that came to town. And you have to go over a little speed bump, this little teeny speed bump that's awkward, where you say, "I know I should know your name. I am so sorry, but I can't remember it." And then my recommendation is that you write it down. We use a little tool that we call Block Map. It's effectively a tic-tac-toe board. Just on your refrigerator, make a tic-tac-toe board and just write the names of your neighbors. And that way, when you look at them, you can start to remember them And who knows? You might even start to pray for them. And who knows even further? God might actually begin to break your heart for them. When you get to know someone's name, something strange happens in our minds where we begin to connect to their story. And we begin to remember parts of their story and remember their name. And it's the most dignified thing we can do for others, is to know their name, capture pieces of their story as a means of demonstrating we care about them. And I think that's what Jesus asks us to do. He asks us to love people. And by this, we show that we're his disciples. That can start somewhere simple, by knowing their name, capturing a bit of their story, and then reflecting that back to them. And if you already know the names of your neighbors, here's another step you can take, which is maybe you could share a meal with them. Here's a guess about all your neighbors. I have a guess. They probably eat food. Another guess. They probably eat food around the same time you eat food. And if you make a little extra food and you let them bring some of their food, you can actually share a meal together. And sharing a meal together is one of the most intimate things you can do. And it's actually one of the most simple things you can do. I believe that evangelism moving forward will be mostly lived out and worked out through hospitality. That people will open their homes and open their lives to connect with others in a way that they can see the life of Jesus and the hope that God has in their lives by just looking at them, by sharing space with them, by sharing time with them. This is what Jesus modeled. I mean, if you take the parties out of the New Testament, you don't have a New Testament. If you take meals and the connection that we have around food from the whole of the Bible, you don't have a story of the Bible. You take the Passover away. That's a big thing to take away from the Bible. Sharing space and time together where we open our hearts up, we ask questions, and we live life together is best done around food and around a meal and in a place where people feel welcomed. We all have a part to play, and God is so well pleased to use every single one of us if we're willing. If we say, God, use me, he can use you no matter what.
My mom left when I was a baby, and my dad raised me until I was 4. My dad thought it was best for me to go to Germany to grow up with his sister. I remember the day when we went to the airport, and I remember holding on to that gate because I didn't want to leave him. I hated my father for leaving me. Right? Sending me somewhere I don't know. When I was 7, I got abused from a neighbor. I hated God. I hated him for all the stuff I went through. And I was like, oh, if you exist, why would you do this to me, you know? I was looking for a nanny job, and I saw Stephanie's post.
I just put an ad out there for a nanny.
And so the day that she walked in, we kind of just thought, you know what, this makes a ton of sense. Let's just do this.
Matt was on the phone, and he was like, yeah, Rahua, we would love to have you as Riley's nanny, and we would welcome you to our family. And I was like, what? This is crazy.
We have so many people coming through this house, and she would ask, who are all these people? They babysit your kids, and they come over here and play with your kids, and it's why would they do that? It's they love our kids, we're really involved with each other, and we love each other, we're all part of the same community. She's like, well, I'd love to check that out.
So Matt and Steph invited me to church. It was weird because I'm never went to church ever. They were just so nice and so welcoming, right? And I was like, oh, this is like a different experience. Like, I like going there.
I think we were advertising for Alpha. Alpha was just coming back. And I said, this would be a great way for you to learn more about who Jesus is.
And I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go meet new people. And yeah, that was the reason why I went to Alpha. First night, I didn't really interact much with other people. I just listened and was quiet, I think, the first night. The second night, the third night, I felt like, oh, this is really powerful, right? I started engaging more and asking questions. I think it was the time when it was about forgiveness. It was just so powerful that, he forgave us for everything we did and that he still loves us, right? How can he love me when I did so many stuff? How can I forgive myself? How can I forgive people who hurt me? I think that was the moment when the dark I had inside went away and the light came through. Yeah.
When you came home and told us you wanted to be baptized, obviously we're really excited for her. And then when she asked me to baptize her, I was floored. It was really exciting.
What was actually so easy, that's the other thing I can't get over, is that I really did so little to introduce you. I mean, so much of it is you just hearing what was true and then just running with it and diving in. Not everyone does that. But then I just feel like I'm getting so much credit for doing so little.
I mean,
just saying,
it's not little. It's a big, it's huge for you guys to bring me into your home, trusting me, being in your house and taking care of your daughter, showing me this oh man, this is this great love God has for you. You should come and experience it too. It's without you, I don't think I would have it now. So, yeah.
When I first heard Jay Pathak talk about loving our neighbors, what stood out to me was how accessible it all felt. Praying for people by name, getting to know my neighbors, extending invitation. It's stuff I can do. It's easy. Well, I know it's not easy, but it's easier than how I often make it. And I guess what I mean is these are the kind of practices that you and I can build into our lives right away. But I don't want you to feel all this pressure to do it all at once. Just start small. Take one idea and put it into action. Start praying for people that you work with by name, or introduce yourself to your neighbor, or invite a friend to church or to Alpha or to a meal at your home. I found that it's often these small steps that lead to unexpected opportunities. So whatever you do, don't do nothing. Take a step and see what God might do with it. This whole series was meant to help spark a conversation that can lead to new engagement with God and other people in your life. And the beauty of starting the conversation as a group like you've done is that whatever next steps you take, you get to walk them out together, which is way more meaningful and way more fun. And as you share your life and share your faith in Jesus with others, you will get a front row seat to see people's lives transformed by the love of God.